In this unit, Media and Technology on Learning and Motivation, we will examine the role of multimedia tools in education, asking ourselves, how can instructional technology be used to support learning? We'll discuss whether media influences learning and focus on applying research from this week's reading to examples. Please pause the video and take a moment to read this unit's learning outcomes. To begin this lesson, let's take a moment to clearly define the role of media in instruction. Instructional media generally refers to any vehicle for presenting or delivering instruction. Essentially, it is a mode to implement instruction and facilitate the achievement of learning outcomes. Instructional media, then, comes in many forms, including human instructors, books, television, computers, or any kind of device. Let's also take a moment to differentiate between media and instructional methods. Though these topics are often thought of as one and the same, they are actually quite different. On one hand, instructional methods are the external activities utilized in supporting the internal cognitive processes that are required for learning new knowledge and skills. Effective instructional methods ensure that meaningful learning takes place. Media, on the other hand, is the vehicle used to deliver instruction, not the instruction itself. To sum it up, instructional methods cause learning, while media delivers the instructional methods. Clark analogizes media with a grocery delivery truck, asserting that learning delivery vehicles do not impact student achievement any more than grocery delivery trucks cause changes in nutrition. The key here is that there may be many effective ways to deliver instructional methods, the differences among them only being a matter of economics. Sticking with the grocery truck analogy, nutrition can be delivered in many ways: horse and buggy, a truck, a bicycle, a drone. The choice is simply a matter of economics, preference, and convenience. Ultimately, as you'll see through this week's reading and videos, instructional media and technology is not a source of educational revolution, but simply a convenient way to bring learners into contact with instructional methods. To quote the "This Will Revolutionize Education" video, learning is what happens inside the student's head, not the delivery method. Unfortunately, many in and outside of the education field still hold misconceptions around instructional technology and multimedia learning. This week's reading from Clark and Feldon explores 5 commonly held principles that are simply not supported by quality empirical research. In their 2005 article, Clark and Feldon present research that refutes 5 commonly held principles around multimedia learning. These principles are that multimedia instruction yields more learning than live instruction or older media, is more motivating than other instructional delivery options, provides animated pedagogical agents or avatars that aid learning, accommodates different learning styles, thusly maximizing learning for more students, and facilitates student-managed constructivist and discovery approaches that are beneficial to learning. The first 3 of these misconceptions directly relate to assumptions around the role of media and technology in learning, while the last 2 can be traced back to common myths in education, which we explored through Unit 1's Kirshner articles. Let's go through each of these 5 principles and the research that supports or refutes them. We've already touched on the first principle explored by Clark and Feldon, that multimedia instruction yields more learning than traditional instruction. Research shows that this assumption is false and related to the confounding of media and instructional methods, which we discussed previously. Again, think of the grocery truck analogy. The truck is a means of delivering nutrients, but not the nutrition itself. Thusly, given that the same instructional methods are used across platforms, there will be no difference in learning outcomes between one media form and another. The choice is simply a matter of economics and convenience. Do note, however, that Clark and Feldon point to research showing that multimedia instruction only benefits learning through its lower costs, speed of delivery, and increased accessibility. The next misconception, that multimedia learning is more motivating than traditional instruction, also turns out to be mostly false. In order to discuss the impact of multimedia instruction on motivation, Let's look back to the 3 indices of motivation discussed in Unit 2: active choice, persistence, and mental effort. Now, we stated that this misconception is mostly false because, in fact, multimedia instruction has proven to increase active choice to begin learning. Research presented by Clark and Feldon shows that learners more often choose to engage with multimedia learning because of the perception that it is a more flexible and less demanding way to learn. Unfortunately, the expectation that multimedia learning will be less demanding generally causes learners to invest less mental effort into the task, which also puts stress on their persistence. This reduction in mental effort and persistence consequently lowers achievement levels. Many education practitioners point to animated pedagogical agents or avatars as multimedia instructional tools that aid learning. Pedagogical agents are defined as computerized characters, human-like or otherwise, designed to facilitate learning. Some assume that these facilitate learning by mimicking human-to-human communication and focusing a learner's attention by gesturing to point out important information, by providing feedback, and by conveying emotions. However, as you might have guessed, these assumptions are false. The act of signaling important information, providing feedback, and conveying emotion can also be accomplished through simple underlining or highlighting and human voiceovers, which also cost significantly less. This is another example of instructional methods being confounded with instructional media. In fact, when compared to more simple means of the same instructional methods, pedagogical agents have been found to be more distracting than beneficial. Let's now move to the next principle of multimedia learning, that multimedia can tailor instruction to individuals by accommodating different learning styles. Hopefully, the moment that you heard the term learning styles, you realize that this principle is also false. Think back to Kirshner's work from Unit 1 on common learning myths. One of the myths we discussed in that unit is the idea that individuals learn best according to their personal learning style. For example, some people learn better visually while others learn better by listening. Despite the pervading idea that this is the case, research shows that it is not. Rather, the appropriate mode for learning resides in the nature of the learning task. For example, most mathematical concepts are best taught through visual examples, while theories of learning and motivation may be best learned through lecture and discussion. Another example might be learning to ski, where learners must feel the kinesthetic motion of their bodies to learn proper technique. Clark and Feldon do observe areas where instruction can be tailored to individuals: intelligence, goal orientation, and prior knowledge. While intelligence and goal orientation are often too difficult to measure accurately, it is important to tailor instruction to learners' prior knowledge, the measurement of which can be done through pre-assessments. Note that instruction can be tailored to learners' prior knowledge with or without instructional technology. However, this is one area where the cost and convenience of technology can be quite beneficial. For example, today there are intelligent tutoring programs that provide students with diagnostic tests and automatically tailor learning tasks to suit their needs. These systems have also shown promise in their ability to actively adjust instructional difficulty according to the learner's emotional needs. The last multimedia principle explored by Clark and Feldon is that multimedia instruction better enables learner control and discovery pedagogy to enhance learning. As you may have guessed, this principle is also false. This again has less to do with multimedia itself than the pervading myth that discovery approaches enhance learning compared to guided instruction, as discussed by Kirshner in Unit 1. It has been found that, without imposing meaningful structure to new material, novice learners waste much of their cognitive load trying to organize information rather than developing conceptual understanding. In fact, research shows that learning is enhanced for novice learners when the task is structured for them. However, this is not the case for expert learners. The expertise reversal effect asserts that optimal instruction utilizes instructional supports that fade in proportion to the learner's level of expertise for a particular skill or concept. So, as expertise increases, less and less support is needed. Thusly, discovery learning tasks should only be reserved for the retraining of experts. This again points to the importance of tailoring instruction according to the learner's level of prior knowledge. I hope you enjoyed this lesson on media and technology's impact on learning and motivation. Before you come to the live session on campus, please be sure to take the quiz, reflect upon how this lesson's content might impact your current or aspiring practice as an educational counselor, and come to class ready to discuss the assigned reading.